The Bone Blossom just got nerfed. Not just the Bone Blossom, but every other seed in the game just got nerfed. And this is gonna change Grow a Garden forever. So I was streaming today, just like I do every single Saturday, and I noticed something a little bit odd. For some reason, my plant that was worth a lot of money is now worth only 1 trillion shekels. If I can get it in frame, excuse me. But as you guys can see, this plant right over here was worth a lot of money. In fact, it was worth like 2 or 3 trillion shekels, but as you guys can see, it is now worth exactly 1 trillion shekels. I thought this was weird, I thought it was a glitch, until I noticed that it was happening to all of the other players in my garden. And this got me curious. I got very, very curious, so I asked my chat in my live stream, and guys, there has been a secret nerf in Grow a Garden that basically nerfs all of your plants to 1 trillion. Now, this isn't something new. This has been something that has been added in Grow a Garden for a very, very long time. Plants have always had some sort of cap, like a upper limit, where they basically can't go past that limit, but that limit was not 1 trillion shekels. But it seems like something has changed, and now the most money you can make in Grow a Garden is just 1 trillion shekels. This means however many mutations you put on your plant, however big your plant is, it is only going to be worth 1 trillion. And I want to go ahead and explain to you why this is a bad idea. I see what the devs are trying to do here, but honestly guys, this is a bad idea, and in today's video we are going to be explaining this to you guys, because honestly I do not agree with this update in the slightest. I feel like this update could single-handedly destroy Grow a Garden more than it has already destroyed the game. As you guys know, Grow a Garden has had a awful economy problem. This game's economy is pretty screwed. It is absolutely like in the ground. It sucks. It's really bad. I mean, most of you probably have a few sextillion shekels right now, which is absolutely insane, and the devs have been scrummaging around to try and fix this issue for the longest time. This is why we got the Ascension update right over here. With the Ascension update, the devs basically wanted to introduce a rebirth system, basically limiting the amount of shekels you could physically have, because if you rebirth, obviously you'd lose all of your shekels. But you guys remember how this went down. People absolutely freaking hated this update. Nobody liked this update at all. And so the devs had to unfortunately revert this update. Honestly, this was a good idea, but it was just introduced at a time when people really did not want to lose their money. I mean, people have been playing this game for months and months, and they've been grinding this game for months and months, and now you introduce a rebirth system that basically requires you to reset everything. Nobody wants to do that. Absolutely nobody wanted to do that, and honestly, rightfully so. So step number 2, they started nerfing things. They started nerfing the Mooncat. They started nerfing a bunch of other methods in the game. Once again, people noticed, but nobody could really say things with certainty because nobody really knew what these nerfs were until today. Almost every single plant in Roblox Grow a Garden has now been introduced with a cap of 1 trillion shekels, and you probably will experience this yourself. So if you have a plant with a value that is over 1 trillion shekels, go and check on it right now, because it is probably going to be worth exactly 1 trillion shekels. Even if you planted it ages and ages ago, even if you planted it today, it is going to have a new value of 1 trillion shekels. Now you might ask, what if I have already harvested said plant? What if I already have it inside of my inventory? Well, let's go ahead and test it out right now. So as you guys can see, I have this absolutely massive honeysuckle, I believe is what this thing is. Let's go ahead and see how much this thing is worth. Now keep in mind, this thing was worth trillions and trillions of shekels, but let's see how much this is worth now. And as you guys can see, still is worth trillions and trillions of shekels. So yeah, if you have a plant from before that you already harvested and kept inside of your inventory, it is going to be absolutely fine. But if you had a plant that was still inside of your garden, it is unfortunately gonna be brought back to 1 trillion shekels, which absolutely freaking sucks. And as I mentioned before, people are not happy with this. People are not happy with this at all. This person right over here says, to be honest, this update is really disappointed. They added a battle pass, the actual event isn't even fun, and they added a 1 trillion cap to the fruits. The only good thing there is now is the new egg inside of the egg shop. Now I want to go ahead and talk about why this is just not a good idea, Roblox Grow a Garden devs. First things first, you did this. This is your fault. I know I'm being a little bit straightforward, I know I'm being a little bit negative, but at the end of the day, guys, Grow a Garden devs kept on adding new mutations. They kept on adding new plants that had even more and more value. They kept on adding plants without actually testing them properly. They added glitches to the game that stayed in the game for ages and ages. There were dupe glitches in the game. Hackers were rampant at some point. Duplication glitches were like just another day on Growing Garden. And then at the end of it all, they decided to add trading shekels, which obviously just made it so everyone had trillions and trillions of shekels. And now you want to punish us by capping our plants that we worked hard for, spending hours and hours and hours of our time because of a mistake that you made. Like, seriously guys, I'm really disappointed in the Growing Garden devs right now, because people have spent hours and hours getting these mutations in their plant. People have spent hours and hours trying to get massive bone blossoms in their garden or any other plant in their garden. It's not easy to get these huge plants. I mean, if you have tried doing it, you know how freaking difficult it is to actually get these huge plants. And just having all of that taken away from you it's absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, what is the point of growing big plants in this game anymore? Look, I get it, this game is supposed to be a casual gardening game, but the devs turned it into this competitive, having the best seeds, the biggest plant type of game, and now they are punishing us, the players who are simply playing the game. And that is why I think this update is completely wrong. You are not gaining the trust of your players doing this. The satisfaction of growing a huge plant and putting a bunch of mutations on said plant and then harvesting that plant it's just completely gone. Instead, they could have maybe nerfed the freaking raccoon that has been causing trouble in this game for ages and ages. No, they decided not to nerf the raccoon because they know they're gonna get too much backlash. They could have maybe hired proper testers for the game who will actually properly test the updates, not just in 2 or 3 days, but actually a week. You know, like, you can delay updates a little bit, you can take them slow and try and actually deliver some quality updates to the game. But no, instead, they want to keep up doing their weekly updates for some reason, pumping out unfinished updates, just overworking themselves, and punishing us for when they add glitches into the game. Like, come on, guys. Honestly, people are gonna be upset about. Should be upset about this. I mean, I know I am upset about this. My bone blossom that I've worked so hard for is now just capped off at 1 trillion. What is the point of growing big plants anymore? Once again, people are not happy. As you guys can see, bro, my brother is crashing out so bad. His bone blossom went from 23 trillion to 1 trillion. Yes, I know this money isn't a lot, but he loved the value of the bone blossom and now he is sad. There is so many different ways in which they could have fixed the economy instead of just punishing its players for simply playing the game, but that's the route they decided to go down. I'm not sure who approved this in the Growing Garden team to, you know, the decision to cap off everyone's plants, but you can't do this. Not now. If you guys did this at the start of the game, when the game first came out, you guys capped or introduced a cap to the game, that would have been fine, but not now after people have spent hours and hours working on the game. I mean, I've just lost 1 bone blossom, but I know people who have lost multiple plants because of this new update. Now, here is the interesting part. It seems like some plants have not been capped at 1 trillion, while others have been capped at 1 trillion. Like this person right over here said, Candy Blossom owner can smile again. The old plant didn't cap to 1 trillion. And I've had a lot of people saying that, yeah, all the plants are not capping to 1 trillion. So this cap is only being introduced to some plants. Some plants that conveniently a lot of people have. For example, the bone blossom. A lot of people have the bone blossom, so they decided, yeah, let's just cap it. Once again, if they did this when they released the bone blossom, sure, this would have been fine. But doing this now, after people have worked hard to get mutations on their plant, it's the devs spitting on our faces. All right, it's absolutely awful. Honestly, this update needs to be reverted and it needs to be thought out a little bit better. And literally not even one person is saying like this cap is a good thing. By the way, every single player on Roblox Growing Garden is saying remove the cap. Nobody wants this. Even the people who actually want the game to fix its inflation, like me. Honestly, guys, I have always been with the dev team to fix the inflation issue. I have always said, you know what? Yeah, adding a rebirth system was actually a good idea. I was one of the few people who was actually agreeing to the rebirth system while everyone else was disagreeing. But this, honestly, guys, it's just not it. This is not a good idea. This is just awful. This is us paying for your mistakes. It's just not good. Hopefully the Growing Garden devs actually do something about this, because literally, once again, like I said before, nobody is happy with this update. So hopefully this does actually get reverted. Look, I still want this game to get fixed. I still want its inflation issue to get fixed, but this is just not not it. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this. Of course, everything I have said in this video is my opinion. You can have a different opinion. So instead of fighting about who's right and who's wrong, maybe if we try and figure out a few better ideas to fix the inflation issue in Growing Garden, that would be, time better spent. But anyways, let me know what you guys think should be done to fix inflation in Growing Garden in the comments down below. And of course, if you guys found this video helpful, a like and subscribe would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.